Hello, Oliver. Pleasure to have you with us today. To all of you who are watching us, Oliver Wyss is the president of soccer operations and general manager of Orange County Soccer Club. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about the team, the situation that they lived during this quarantine, this past 5 months of drought, of necessity of soccer. Finally, soccer is back. Oliver, first of all, thank you for coming in today. Let me hear about you. How are you feeling?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show and for taking the time to obviously check in with Orange County Soccer Club and also personally. Look, I think there's not one person in the entire world who has not been affected, obviously, what's going on, right? And I think specifically for professional sport, it's been very challenging, and also to create a safe return to play protocol to just get back going. And especially right now, playing without fans, it becomes a little bit more challenging. But it's been great to see that after initial pause of playing games worldwide, it started over again in Germany, right, about a month ago, and it's carried into the Premier League. And then obviously the USL kicked off, this week as well too, with all games on ESPN. A lot of work has gone in the last 3 months to create a safe environment for, first and foremost, our players, our staff, and also our fans. Even though they're not allowed to come to the games right now, but they're still here supporting us. And we're only as good as every single one of them. So we're very pleased to say that we're playing again on Thursday night, playing against Phoenix Rising. It's going to be a great challenge, arguably one of the best teams in the league, and it's been one of our main rivals the last few years. And a lot of work has gone into getting back onto the field by the front office, but also a lot of work by the technical staff to really create that environment where we can go back in. And got to give a big credit to our players as well too. They have been first class and fantastic during this time.
Oliver, we also want to know about you personally, about your family. How were you guys able to adapt during this quarantine? Do you have any kids? Do you have any young kids?
No, we don't. It's me, my wife, and we adapted. I think life is always about adapting and trying to make the most out of it. And like I said, life has changed for us as for everybody else. You also have to be responsible who you're with. Obviously, we have to be responsible because we are around the team and around the players, and make sure we're protecting ourselves and the players accordingly. And also with our friends and other families that we have around here, to make sure we are responsible human beings. Personally, I've been tested multiple times. That's obviously part of the league protocol, and also try to stay as distant as possible from scenarios and situations where you might expose yourself to catching this terrible virus. But overall, look, we're doing well. We're a couple, and I'm a individual who always wants to make the most out of it. I believe you lead by example, and people will follow. And so far, everything has been good, and we've made the most out of the current situation.
Oliver, when we are in sports, we are so consumed with the day to day. I mean, it's always so busy, and I can only imagine what happens on a business side and on a team's wise. And this presented an opportunity to pause ourselves and reshape our lives. We were just talking about how I did my room. Now I'm dealing with all this Zoom situation, so that's kind of like a learning curve for myself. What would you say you have to go through, or what do you benefit from this? What's the new, I don't know, a new talent that you learned? Anything in particular that you might have experienced during all this time?
To be honest with you, I believe as a human being, you have to be disciplined regardless, right? And you have to try to make a difference in your environment on a daily basis. I believe we've lived our life always like this. I think what has changed for me personally, and I think in my position, obviously with Orange County Soccer Club, is to also make sure we can provide that safe environment daily for everybody we're working with. Is it the players? Is it the staff? It's also the fans that come to our games, and can we reach out to them and help them? So I would just say it's probably, we've been more alert to make sure we are there trying to make a difference and help and be supportive. But generally speaking, for us, besides some of the limitations you obviously have of changing your social life a little bit and everything else you've been doing, it hasn't changed that much for me where I would say all of a sudden, I've become a different person. I try to hold myself to absolutely the highest standard every single day. I try to lead by example, and I think that hasn't really changed. I just think that leadership nowadays is even more important, and to show everybody that you have to continue despite all the challenges that are going on daily to try to make a difference and lead by example in the community and everybody you come around with.
I imagine the challenges that Coach Braden Cloutier had to keep his players in shape and ready for a comeback. But I would like to hear from you on the business side of the team. What were the biggest challenges financially during this pandemic behind the scenes?
Well, obviously, at the end, professional sports, you're in an entertainment business as well, right, as performing on the field. So not having any fans is obviously challenging because that's one of our main revenues. But also at this club, we wanted to make very clear that we believe in player development. And if you look in the business model on the global soccer market, it's about selling, developing, and producing your players. And we have taken 4 years ago, when obviously James Keston came in and purchased the team, we've taken a clear initiative that, yes, we want to always have a team that competes for a championship and is one of the best teams in the league. But we also want to develop young, talented players that become assets for us and that we can move. So with that said, I think it's been very good for us. We've spent a lot of time these last few months to go over the technical aspect and go over every detail of it, of player recruiting, player development, how we can be better at everything we're doing. And so we're fortunate that we have a few very good asset players. We're actually announcing one of them at the end of the month that have been moved to Europe, and we might have a few more coming up by the end of the year. So technically, we have continued on. Braden Cloutier has done a great job in keeping his team ready and his staff ready to get out there again. And from a business perspective, we wanted to make sure that we also have these player assets ready and continue to develop these. And that has been in full motion. And then obviously on the other business aspect, to make sure we reach out to our sponsors, to our fans, get them engaged and come up with new creative ideas and ways to really continue that business relationship we have with so many of them.
Some teams have felt obligated, and I'm talking about big teams as well as the NBA and even baseball. They have felt obligated to cut their players' salaries and staff salaries in some cases, or let go of some people. What was the case with OCSC? Was the team paying the salaries? Was there a reduction? What do you guys have to do to adjust during this time?
No, our owner, James Keston, has shown great leadership by basically all the technical staff and all the players have been paid in full. We're believing them. They have worked very, very hard. Some of the things were out of their hands that have happened, right? So no, they're all been fully there. We had to make some small adjustments on the business front, which was normal, right? With no fans, meaning some ticketing staff probably was not as many needed when you can sell tickets to actual games. But overall, no, as an organization, again, I think from James and to everybody else, that with great leadership by keeping everybody employed and working very hard with them and making sure to take care of them in good and in bad times. And for us to go back now on the field again and really show what kind of team we have and what we have been able to do in these last 3 months, I think gives a lot of gratification to everybody involved.
Obviously, not having fans on the stands impact the team financially, and you talked about that, but it also will make it strange for the players when they do come back this Thursday on the field, and we'll talk about that in a minute. With the new surges of cases of COVID-19, were there any plan to let fans back into the stadium anytime soon? Or now the plans have changed because of these new surging cases?
I think, over the last few months, we're obviously working closely with the league regulations and the guidelines from the state and the city and the individual people and the experts. And I think it's clear to say that at the moment, having fans in the stadium in Orange County at our games is simply not a viable solution for many, many reasons. And again, I think as it goes to the players, of course, we all would like to play in front of fans because fans drives the game. It gives you the atmosphere. But I would also tell you, I think the players and everybody in the organization is also very grateful that we actually have the opportunity to play again, right? Because you have seen some other leagues and some there, they have canceled their season and they're not playing anymore and they don't have that opportunity. So for the USL Championship and also their League One to come back and playing games again and actually be the first league to play again in their home cities, even though without fans, but playing at home in your own stadium is a remarkable accomplishment. And it's always, first and foremost, we have to create the absolutely safest environment for anybody around. And at the moment, with fans at the games, that will probably not be possible to do so. So the fact that our game, obviously on Thursday, is on ESPN2 and a nationwide audience is incredible. But all our other games are basically televised on ESPN Plus as well. So our fans will get to watch all of our games, even though they're not going to be at the game. They're going to be in spirit with us, and obviously they get the chance to watch it on television and online.
It sounds like OCSC is well established right now. I mean, financially at least, you guys are secure in a way. Do you know if there's a plan or if there has been a financial support coming from USL to the struggling teams? Do you know any of it? Have you heard of, I don't know,
No,
maybe
I
internal?
think I think the USL has helped with with obviously guidelines and suggestions. Ultimately, it was up to ownership group and specifically to James Keston to make these decisions. And again, he has led by example. He's a very smart man. We built an organization here that is not built for short term. It's built for long term. Of course, it's always a little bit difficult when you go through these phases. But again, we have a very good foundation of this organization. We have great leadership, and we're financially secure to build what we have built out of and set out a few years ago to do. And it's been a joy. And even in this off time, in this so-called time off the field, we have not stopped working. We have not stopped planning ahead because yes, we're playing 2020 now, but we're also planning for 2021 accordingly. So we're in a club that's in a great condition and in a great shape and with great leadership starting on top.
U.S. Soccer recently released a series of phases for the game to go back. Now, I had the opportunity to talk to the chief medical officer, Mr. George Champas, where he detailed more or less what the phases are. And obviously, with this new surge of cases of COVID, it seems like we'll push back those plans again because we went from phase 0, which is stay at home, then phase 1, social distancing and all this situation. And then phase 2 was finally the teams going back to the games. I mean, were you guys following those phases, or do you implement your own plan, or did USL present their own plans to you? How did that work out?
Oh no, we're following the plan accordingly, and obviously it's the guidelines that come from the USL. Then that also went into the players, obviously union approval. We're following it now, obviously within the state, and then with our local authorities, and then with everybody else is involved with our medical team. And again, first and foremost, it's always been for us when we come back that we are creating the safest environment, and basically our players and our technical staff that are interacting, we're living in a so-called bubble. So they're basically coming to training. They're being taking the temperature every single morning. They're coming with masks. They're social distancing. Once they get on the field, obviously they can train normally. And as soon as the session is over, they're back with the mask. The same for our technical staff. They have clear guidelines and regulations, what they need to do by wearing a mask and by distancing. So we're following an extensive protocol that we had studied multiple times with our medical staff, with our technical staff, with our players, and are falling into an absolutely T, because the reality is it only takes one single person to make a mistake or not follow the protocol that could ultimately impact the entire team and the entire season. We have a great team of professionals all around, and they have been very, very good in following. Now, again, circumstances always arise. As we know, it can happen to anybody, but even then we have clear protocols how to deal with it, and we're obviously getting tested regularly as well too. So I can say with a lot of confidence that at Orange County Soccer Club, we have been very, very careful. We're following all the rules and all the regulations, and have not been in contact literally with anybody on the outside. And we have a very safe environment. Of course, it's never great to see that it seems to be these cases are rising again. And that's why, again, having no fans at the stadium and not having any interaction with fans or outside parties is really giving us that protected environment where we can be assured that we can provide that for our players and staff.
Oliver, obviously the ultimate goal is always winning a championship, but are you worried that the shortened season might not be enough time for the chemistry of the team to fully develop, especially because you guys always try to involve the youth? Since I've been covering the team, I've always learned that you guys do care about youth. And I say this with all the security, there's nothing behind it, and because I've seen it. So do you worry about this chemistry maybe not developing fully by the end of the shortened season?
Look, I think it's always challenging when you start off the season, then you stop the season, 3 months pause where we were very limited what we could actually train with the players, but our technical staff obviously gave them their daily recommendations and tracking the players. So this season, regardless what this season is going to be, and if we're going to have a championship at the end, we always want to compete for a cup, and we always want to be a team that makes the playoffs and goes and challenges. But as I said earlier, for us, the business model of integrating these young players and make them asset players and giving them the opportunity to play when they're ready to play is an important factor for us. I think we would all say this is going to be a very unique season. Obviously, we're playing in a regionalized schedule, so that means we're playing the same teams multiple times. We're not playing the rest of the teams. So I think regardless what is going to happen, if we have players in a championship, it's always going to be a different season, because when you don't really play everybody and compete against everybody, it might be, you could argue, was the competition really genuine? But I think we're more excited about playing every single game, trying to compete in every game, go out there, do our utmost best, go and showcase who we are, and continue give these young players, when they have the opportunity to play, and without obviously saying anything about Thursday, even there, you know, our coach makes these bold movements where when the young player is ready, that they'll get the opportunity to play, and I think we'll even see some of them coming up.
In 2019, and precisely we're talking about youth, you as an organization made history by signing Francis Jacobs, the youngest player, to a contract. And we saw some signings this year. Talk a little bit about the new additions of the team, maybe mentioning some of the last names that you guys have included in the roster.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, our roster was always based to find the perfect balance between these young asset top players, but also having them surrounded by experienced players, because the USL Championship, you cannot compete when you only play with young players. It's a very, very tough league, and you're playing against very good teams with many, many good players. So for us to obviously have experienced players like the Michael Orozco's and the Thomas Enevoldsen and the Aiden Quinns and the Kevin Olsons are very important, because they're also for us role models for the youngers. We started kind of our young revolution with Aaron Cervantes when he was 15, 3 years ago. And he was obviously our starter in the opening game. And he's a player that is very talented and also went with the USU 17 to the World Cup last year in Brazil. Then we ended on going signing Diego Lopez, which is another local Southern California that actually signed originally in the MLS, but then realized that he had a clearer pathway to Europe by coming back and play for us, where these young players are getting the opportunity to play. Then we were able to sign, as we alluded to, Francis Jacobs, which at age 14 was the youngest ever player to sign a professional contract. But again, we didn't sign him because he was the youngest player. We signed him because we believe he truly has the talent to go on and have a great career. And we brought him in, and he trained with us for 4 or 5 weeks, and he held his own. And he's obviously a very, very good player for his age. And for him now, again, to train in an environment that where he learned from some of the absolutely best players in the US, and some of the players who have even played in the World Cup, I think makes a significant difference in his development. And then this year, just recently, we were able to sign Blake Malone, which was another U20 youth international. And our latest signing was Kobe Henry, who just played for the US U15 over in England. And we were able to sign for the MLS Academy from the new team into Miami, who also thought that his better way of pathway would be to come and play for us, where he works in a daily environment, as I said, that prepares him for the next level. So we have some very exciting young talents. We also have 2 Glasgow Rangers players that are under the age of 19, that are U20 Scottish internationals, that are playing with us in Kemi Palmer and Denny Finlayson. So these are other players that are with us. So if you look at it, we have 8 players under the age of 19, all of them now in a shortened season and so many games without having a proper preseason, if I can call that now, we expect to play, and they have to come and perform.
We have seen, besides COVID-19 this year, the protests, the call for social justice. Was there any specific type of communication between the team and the players in regard of what went on?
Look, we, as the USL, we stand for as an organization, we're 100% united against racism. There's no place for that anywhere in the world. But we also want to make sure that our players have the freedom to express themselves. So we're trying to obviously have a clear message as an organization, and it's very unified, and that's against racism, and we stand up for that. And we will also showcase that obviously in our upcoming game on Thursday night. It's been a challenging time for everybody, right? And some of the things that have gone on in this country and worldwide are definitely changing, and will probably change many opinions forever to go. But as I said, it's very clear that we feel strongly that racism is not tolerated, and we're 100% aligned with that.
Will the players be able to portray any messages they might want to carry before the games or during the games? Some players have decided to change on the back of their jerseys. They want to change their names with a message. What will be the case with OCSC?
Our players will have the right to, obviously, we have Black Lives Matter armbands that the league has provided to us. That is up to the players if they want to wear it. We will show, obviously, our unity by wearing a shirt against racism. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's up to the players to, represent themselves, how they feel. There's also 15 seconds before the game kickoff that is specifically for against racism that we obviously will support. And also very important 15 seconds for acknowledgement for our healthcare workers that have done such an incredible job during this time and put their lives at risk for the community. And we want to make sure we recognize them as well.
And lastly, Oliver, we really thank you for all this time that you've provided us today for us, even though you guys are so busy in regards of just the upcoming game. A message to the fans, and also you've mentioned where they will be able to see you guys on TV. But if you would like to just give them a closing remarks and invite them to watch the game on TV.
Yes, no, absolutely. Our fans have been great. Our fans have been checking in. It's great to have social media, right? I know we've reached out to a lot of them. They've been excited. They're following us closely. Look, we take a lot of pride in our fans. We're still building a bigger fan base, but also now with the partnership of the Glasgow Rangers, we've created a lot of new interest around the world. We had some very interesting signings, obviously, that are people following. So with that said, look, we want to thank all of our fans to be so supportive during that time. And we want to give them something special back when they get to watch us on the field. Yes, it's going to be challenging, but I can tell you our team will give everything they have on the field to show who we are and what we stand for, and to hopefully bring some joy and excitement into everybody's home in these very difficult times. And obviously, we wish everybody all the best of health, and stay safe and stay healthy. And we'll look forward to hopefully welcome them back in our stadium again when this is by, and we can have fans back supporting us at our games.
So OCSC will be playing this Thursday at 6 p.m. on ESPN2. So don't forget to catch up that game. And thank you, Oliver. We hope to see you this Thursday. And don't forget, folks, that you can follow me in all my social media platforms at Jad El Reda. Until next time.
Thank you very much.